Okay, so we've heard of blackface, we've heard of woman face. What about trans face? 2023, I never thought I'd say that sentence out loud, but here we are. When it comes to drag, most people, like myself, are pretty much like, well, if it's not hurting anybody and people are enjoying it, do you? But one question that we never ask is drag kind of a mockery of trans people? And this is actually more of me asking this to leftists, since they're the ones constantly talking about appropriation. Interestingly enough, I know a few trans people who feel like drag is a mockery of what trans women go through. I also know some biological women who have an issue with drag queens. My friend Kitty Demure, who I collabed with while I was out in LA, had something to say about this topic.
He knows I am a male performer, entertainer that dresses in woman face. I've decided to drop the name drag because I think that they have made it bad now.
Wow.
Drag, honestly, from what I understand or believe, was actually birthed out of misogyny because women weren't allowed to be actors, like on a stage. So men would dress up as women and play their role.
And of course, the difference between drag queens and trans women is that drag is simply playing a dress up for entertainment purposes, and being trans is an experience somebody goes through. It's innate. It's a gender identity disorder, and it's not fun. Interestingly enough, though, there are some trans people that do drag. Again, that's for another video. But I wanted you guys to hear from a trans woman friend of mine who has a lot to say on this topic, and she is serious. Here's what my friend Jonna had to say.
Correlation between drag queens and trans people. Why every gay club, which is, an LGBT rainbow fest, has to have drag queens, which are just literally, to a sense, an imitation of people that are men trying to be women, like a trans person, but obviously a little bit more comical. I don't understand the correlation why drag is funny. Like, I understand actors and actresses and dressing a part or something, and yeah, it's a form of entertainment, but it does cloud the water for people that are not as exposed to the real world. And by the real world, I mean like living in a major city or somewhere where you have trans people and you have drag shows, and you can identify the difference in your day-to-day life. Newsflash, most of America is not like that. It is different, and people in different areas have different perceptions of what a trans person really is. As a trans woman, the imitation and the mockery of trying to pretend to be a woman and trying to make it entertaining. And honestly, now this new woke world is even worse with it, because so many trans people who have been living their life not even knowing, like, people don't even give a shit. They don't talk about you. Nothing happens. It's like now everyone is so hyper aware, and there's so many people out there that are shadowing themselves as a trans person, or at least like saying that they're a trans person, and you're not. You're just like literally look like a drag queen. Like, you just are a man with a wig on. Like, there's a big difference between changing your body, changing your everything about you, living your life this way. There's a huge difference between that and playing dress up, taking money, like the whole, drag queens it's a paid gig, you're just like taking money off a stage. Not a fan of that either. So many men, honestly, that still have sexual fantasies just think that trans people are prostitutes or we're just performers. My last point that actually really upsets me is the fact that in every single stupid ad, or why is our representation as trans people like people that still look like really like boys? I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not perfect by any means, but why is the only people who are like our representation or get brand deals or work with like makeup people are people who aren't even trans? Shit is crazy. I'm so over it. Bitch, I'm not going to no drag show.
One question I found really interesting on this topic is from our friend Richie. Why is it cross-dressing when a man wears a dress, but clothes made for men worn by women isn't considered cross-dressing? Does the fetishization lens apply to females who identify as males also? Is there just a sexualized element there, or is it just for males? One thing to remember is that for a very long time, up until very recently, maybe the 1950s or 60s, it was considered cross-dressing for either sex to dress the opposite way. Gender roles and gender expression was taken very seriously back then. And of course, depending on where you are in the world, things changed. Like, for instance, not every man wears pants. In Ireland, they wear skirts. History also shows us that women had to fight for the right to wear simple jeans. Men's clothes generally are more for function and comfort, while women's, again, generally are more about showcasing our bodies. Now, does that mean that men wearing women's clothing is sexualizing their bodies? Is it a fetish? Is it sexualizing yourself? I think it is important to note here that most males that wear dresses don't identify as men. So maybe it's just simply not something that's completely normalized yet. I mean, it's a double standard for guys, obviously. Very interesting take here. Somebody actually said this is about gender norms. Gender norms. Things associated with women are denigrated in society, while things associated with men are elevated in society. Hence why more trans women are killed than trans men. Somebody said, can't think of a good way to put it. Same reason. Forced feminization is a fetish, but forced masculinization isn't. Being female and feminine is being lesser, which is the message I learned growing up, whereas being male is the default human. So maybe something to do with that. This sums up my general feeling about it all in the moment based on what I've seen. And it doesn't mean that all men do it for this reason, obviously, or that all women do it for this reason. But I mean, culture is a real thing. Obviously, we dive deep into it in this channel every week, and we have to dissect it to figure things out. This person said, men do it for sexual pleasure, generally again, and women do it for liberation. I think it's a great point, and I think it makes a lot of sense, but I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments down below. And other than that, if you are not subscribed to my channel, make sure to subscribe. I am the only non-leftist lesbian YouTuber. I'm the only one that talks about this crazy shit, that is not afraid of critiquing woke culture and all the bullshit that comes with it. So if you are not subscribed, make sure to subscribe. And I'll see you guys back here in a few days with a brand new video. Until then, I love you. Love yourselves. All right, bye, bitch. Bye.